Hi, babes. We're in the car, as you can clearly tell. My sister's outside. I guess her way of getting through what's going on right now is, exercising, and I'm using content. My mom's in the hospital. She's still in the hospital. She's okay, but they just want to get her vitals back good, her blood sugar back good, and then hopefully she can come home tomorrow. So y'all, please keep prayers up for her. But I had this You Listen, I Yap episode written down, and this is probably going to be one of the longer segments of the video. So grab yourself something to drink, grab yourself something to eat. I know I have me something to drink, and I might start munching on those fries in a little bit. I don't know. My drink of choice is cheer wine. If yours is real wine, wouldn't put it past you. But we're going to talk about my college experience. And yes, you've read that title correctly. In my humble opinion, taking everything into consideration, college was a disaster for me, for lack of a better word. I graduated, and I think that in life, it gets drilled into our heads like, don't be ungrateful. So you automatically always try to attribute and find the good and the positive things, and you try to make the whole experience be good and positive. But sometimes it's okay if your experience wasn't good, wasn't positive. My college experience was about 25% good, positive moments, and about 75% what the actual heck is going on, why the actual heck am I dealing with this, what did I do to deserve this, where are the cameras, is this a drama or is this my life, will I live to see the next day, how am I supposed to still go to school? 1,001 questions ran through my mind. And I think being a year and some change post-grad, I think I can finally talk about it without bursting into tears. What's up?
No, I'm getting... Sorry, I'm musty.
Girl.
Do you want to pause real quick and use this?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Oh, I guess Mer's gonna be in the podcast. Hey, what's up, Mer?
What's up? I'm gonna just have my headphones in and stuff.
I'm crying. So, those are all questions that, I sort of dealt with. I dealt with a lot in college. I mean, a lot. More than I think that they just hit that recycling bin. Yo. Yo. No way. This is embarrassing for them. Do they not know how to drive? What the fuck is going on? Yo, across the street, someone's trying to back out and they've done hit somebody's recycling bin. Good God. What are we trying to do? Okay. They have to go pick up their recycling bin. Damn, you're just gonna leave it on the ground? I don't know if they should try to curb park. I know that driver was pissed because they were behind them. But anyways. Yeah, so just a disclaimer. It's not to say, don't go to college. It's not to say if you go to college, you're going to have the worst time of your life and college is scam. I think college is important for what it's important for. But I think having experienced it myself personally, one-on-one, and we talked about this in episode 1, when I said, I kind of believe, if you're not going for STEM majors, if you're not trying to become the next doctor, teacher, professor, tech person, mathematician, things that genuinely require a degree, I just don't know if college is the path. And that's just my personal opinion. But like I said, I'm going to talk about my experience, and I'm going to tell y'all the truth, the unfiltered truth, because this is You Listen, I Yap. And on this channel, I don't lie. I tell the truth. So we can start with my freshman year. So, for full context, I am a 2020 senior. I graduated high school in 2020. Graduated. I walked across the stage by myself, picked up my diploma, went down the hall, took a picture. We went on about our day. That was my graduation. And I think that Gen Z needs to be studied about how much, COVID really genuinely took from us. how many of us were genuinely grieving, especially like the seniors at the time. And I know people get tired of us talking about it, like, oh, that was 3 years ago. But it was 3 years that actually kind of shifted all of our lives, and changed the trajectory of all of our lives. So many plans and so many things we thought we were going to do and thought we were going to be a part of didn't happen. No prom, no graduation, no senior walk, no senior sunrise, senior sunset, no nothing. And 3 months later, August 2020, I was expected to be a college freshman. Not fully processing the grief that came with losing my senior year. Not fully understanding being in a global pandemic at 18 years old. And how much of that had affected my social skills. How much of that had affected my mental health. How much of that had affected my self-image. Just because it was my first time being out of public education and also away from human interaction. It was a crazy time being in COVID. All I did was work, and that was my outlet, was working. And I worked at KFC at the time, and we were essential workers. Riddle me that. I don't know. But so August 2020, I'm a freshman in college. We move in, mask and all. Hindsight being 2020, no pun intended. I think that until the world opened back up, I think that college campuses shouldn't have opened back up. I think that was a huge indicator of where my college experience was going to go. Going into college during COVID. Still living through COVID. College didn't start getting normal for me as far as actually going to classes and as far as experiences, games, clubs, interacting with people in my major until junior year in 2023. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So coming in as a freshman, it was crazy. We all had to get COVID tests. And so many people's like financial stuff was messed up because we had to do all this stuff online. It was chaotic. It was hectic. We got it all figured out. And once we got there, my first week there, this is my first time being away from home. I went from being in a predominantly white school to going to an HBCU where I know nobody. And that entire first week, I was depressed. I literally was just like, oh my goodness, like, my family's not around. Like, in every school, I have siblings that's 2 years below me or a year, like a grade level below me. So even if it was a school year where I was at the school by myself, the next school year, I'd be there with a sibling or a couple of siblings. So it was just like, wow, like, that's not about to happen. You're about to be here 4 years, solo dolo. You know nobody. You have no way to make friends. And everybody had made friends in like these group chats. And I just felt so like left out. But come to find out, all those group chat friendships fell apart anyway. So I really wasn't missing out on nothing. But in the moment, I just felt so left out. And I was just like, dang, how does everybody know each other? How does everybody just automatically have friends and this and that? And eventually I befriended this girl. Everything was cool. And then not only did I befriend this girl, but I actually got into a relationship. So I fell in love, and being that I was going to school in COVID, my classes were online. I lived on campus, but my classes were online. So really the only thing you could do was go to the cafeteria. You couldn't go to the game room, couldn't go to the gym. All you could do was go out to eat, walk around the campus outside. That was it. All the buildings were closed. Or you can go to the track, but all the buildings were closed. No games, no nothing. So it was literally like, it was like dystopian almost. It was like, I'm living in this place where I'm supposed to be going to classes every day, but I'm in my dorm 24/7 unless I'm going to eat, or I'm in my boyfriend at the time's dorm unless we're going to eat. So naturally, I was just with my boyfriend at the time, all the time. And, you know, our relationship grew closer. We grew closer. Our bond grew closer because, like, I mean, we literally just had each other. We'd go to class, go get food. We'd go out on dates sometimes, but, like, you know, the world was still sickly, so we didn't go out too much. But, yeah. And that was my freshman year. Online classes. Cheat to do your homework. Like, I'm just keep it real. Cheat to do your homework. And see, chat GPT was nowhere around 2020. Well, if it was, it wasn't available for the common folk. You had to do it the old-fashioned way with Quizlets and Google and all that. But yeah, use all your resources. Getting encouraged by my professors to use my resources. It just honestly just felt like one big camp trip away from home to just be with your boyfriend. That's what it felt like. And my freshman year, like, it was okay. Like, you know, the highlight of my freshman year was falling in love. And then, unfortunately, that summer, moved home, and my boyfriend at the time got really, really sick. And he had a tumor, and I don't want to cry, so we're just going to fast forward. He didn't make it. So, but that was the summer between freshman year and sophomore year. The whole tumor situation, this and that. So we enter into sophomore year. Now, once again, I'm alone. Because my boyfriend at the time, he wasn't going back to school. He was, you know, getting treatments. He was getting chemotherapy and radiation and all this stuff. And I come back to school. Not only am I alone, the dorm that I was staying in was the dorm that we were supposed to stay in together. But now it's just me. So then it was just like extra sad. So I go in and I'm like, wow, here we are again by myself, feeling depressed. And it just made me feel even sadder for the health, you know, of my boyfriend. Like, just knowing, like, he's sick and I have to be here and I still have to go to school and I still have to, like, navigate school and stuff. And I reached out to, like, my old math group chat from freshman year, and I was like, hey, I stay in such and such. Does anybody want to hang it out? Like, basically, like, shooting my friend shot to anybody, like, anyone that, you know, it may stick at. So this girl, she ended up responding, whatever. And make a long story short, me and her and another girl, we was in a trio. So then that whole sophomore year, it was still like Zoom classes. It was still the same, like, process of, you know, not going to class, not going to in-person classes, only having class online, nothing being open, no games, no school spirit, no homecoming. Mind you, I'm at a HBCU. This is year 2 of no homecoming. It was just a disaster, honestly. And the only thing that, and I at the same time of dealing with that, I changed majors because I realized the major I was in for education, the education department at the school I was at, I could tell from a mile away, it was falling apart. There wasn't enough professors to teach the classes that were required. And I just knew that if I stayed in that major, it wouldn't be a successful thing for me. So the only thing I knew that I liked, see, because going into education was a practical major. See, I'm coming out of high school. I never really sat down and thought, well, what do I want to be? You know, growing up, it used to always change. Teacher, doctor, lawyer, something of someone that's going to help somebody. And everybody always said that I would be a good teacher or a good lawyer. And I knew I didn't want to be no lawyer. So I was just like, you know, let me go the teacher route. You know, it's a practical job. It's a practical career. Something that could grow into something more. But being at the school that I was at, I was just like, in this program, not in this program. So I switched out of my major. And I'm like, well, what am I going to switch my major to? Well, at the time, 19-year-old Tasia was like, all I ever wanted to be was a content creator. I was a year into creating content and creating these vlogs, and all I ever wanted to do was be successful. So I said, okay, all my favorite YouTubers are communication majors. And so I was like, that's what I should be, you know. And at the time, I thought communications was just, you know, about talking to people. And I was like, that's something I'm good at. You know, I may not like having to speak to people, but it's something I'm good at. And so I went the communications route. It was an easy transition, and I quickly was able to get all my prerequisites done for the major. So it was just like, okay, so none of my classes were taken in vain. Everything was fine. And while all that's going on, basically, like, the love of my life is dying, slowly but surely. That messed with my mental health in ways that I wouldn't wish on the devil himself. That's how much that messed with me. To go to school day in and day out, have to show up as a friend, a sister, a daughter, a human, and literally watch the love of your life deteriorate before your very eyes. have to shave off his head when he has a head full of locks to just a bald head. Seizures, hospital visits after or before class, hearing nurses neglect him while you're on the phone, emergency surgeries, not hearing from him for days at a time, not knowing if he's dead, alive, or in critical condition while still being in school. It's something I wouldn't wish on nobody. I mean, nobody. And at the time, I thought that... Oh, fuck no, Merc. Oh, hell no.
What the hell is wrong? Huh?
What? Shit, fuck no. Lock the door, bro. Lock the door, bro.
Shut up.
Bro, hell no. Sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but this nigga just came and
Send me that. Send me that.
I don't think he meant to scare me, but no, bro, that nigga scared me. Can you turn on the air, bro?
Are you serious?
Bro, you're sweating, I'm sweating.
I ain't finna do a lot if that's what you thinking.
No, I said can you turn on the air?
No, I'm talking about, what the?
Bro, I don't know. That's his book bag.
Shut up, bro.
Wait, bro, I'm having a serious podcast episode,
You already
bro.
said, oh, hell no.
Bro.
Send me that.
Bro, and I know they seen him coming from the back, and y'all didn't warn me, bro. I'm having a serious podcast episode, and here this nigga comes. Jesus, he scared the shit out of me, bro.
I know,
He had a bent up water bottle. Oh, Lord, bro. Okay, sorry, y'all. My life flashed before my eyes. But at the time, I thought that going through this was making me so strong. It did. It taught me how resilient I am. It taught me how strong I am. But being healed now, being 19 years old and dealing with that was a lot. I mean, a lot. And I knew it was a lot at the time, but it was a lot. I started to gain so much weight. I started to not be able to sleep. I started to turn to things to try to help me escape what was actually going on, because I couldn't physically do anything to fix it. And I'm used to being the fixer. I'm used to being able to say, do this, this, and this, and it'll be fixed. Or I would do this, this, and this, and hopefully it gets fixed. But for this, I have no fix for it. I have no fix for tumors or cancer or anything like that. And it's not happening to somebody on a TV show or a movie or somebody that I know that it's happening to. It's happening to my person, like the person I'm supposed to be with and have a future with. And I'm 19 years old. So I did the best I could. And at the time, I don't think I was the greatest person at that time. I feel like a lot of guilt towards like who I was at that time, because it's not an excuse. But just imagine juggling that many things and still just having to just go go on with life. You can't, completely isolate yourself. You can't do any of that. You still have to turn in homework. You still have to turn into assignments. I have to say that if I had to say what was the worst year of college for me, it was sophomore year. I mean, it was the worst. I couldn't even look once I got promoted to the next grade. I couldn't even look at that building the same anymore. It held so much of my dark nights, my dark moments, my pain. And it was a place that once held some of my happiest memories. Because mind you, that was a place that my freshman year, it was his room, but I was living in there with him. So we were living together. And we were just going to move on in. And I was just going to be in there with him. It was just going to be that officially on paper, And it never happened. So quickly, beautiful memories got tainted like in an instant. And the more things kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse, the more my mental health was deteriorating, the more my capacity for humans, anything really, was deteriorating. And I was really struggling, like really, really bad. I kept saying that I needed to go to therapy. I kept saying that I kept questioning, should I even still, Michael said you're about to leave. I kept questioning, should I still go to school? Should I didn't know what to do. I mean, I don't think anybody knew what to do. I don't think anyone knew I needed help. And if they knew I needed help, I don't think they knew how to help me. And I turned 20 and it got worse. And we went to the new year and it got worse. So, unfortunately, our relationship didn't last because my mental health was in shambles. I mean, it was truly done for. And to this day, that's like one of my greatest regrets. But I honestly believe, and my family believes, that was what he wanted for me because his time on earth was coming to an end. And I think that he didn't want me to witness the complete deterioration. You know, I had witnessed so much of it and it had messed me up so badly. Yeah. So, a couple months later, after the breakup, maybe if I put a time frame on it, 3 or 4 weeks later, he passed away. The way in which I found out, I had COVID. I was in an isolation dorm. It was day 2 of me being in an isolation dorm. I'll never forget. It was 9:30 in the morning. I got a text from his sister that he passed away. Now, if you remember anything about COVID, you had to be in isolation for 5 days. It was day 2, 9:30 in the morning. And I mean, what I experienced in that isolation dorm, I would say was a psychotic break. I mean, anything that you could think of, I felt. Any emotion you could think of, I felt. Any emotion you think someone could experience by losing the literal love of their life, I felt times a million. And it was only worse because I was by myself. No one couldn't get to me. I had COVID. No one couldn't get to me. No one could console me. I mean, yeah, my family could text me or call me, but no one could physically reach me. And I had to suffer by myself for 3 days. 3 long days. And that was also a part of my sophomore year of college. So, well, I guess I'll have to finish this later.
I mean,
well, I'll come up there in a little bit. Right. Okay. So I can finish this out. Just let Mo know I'm coming up there.
fuck, bro.
What did you drop?
Good thing nobody was in there.
Alright.
Alright.
Okay. 3 long days of mental torture, turmoil, hurt, heartbreak, depression. Mind you, this is my first time ever dealing with death. Like, okay, yeah, growing up, we went to funerals, but I didn't know those people. You know what I mean? Like, not closely. I wasn't in love with any of them. I hadn't lost my virginity to any of them. You know what I mean? Like, this was a deep love. A deep, true love. My HBCU love story. You know what I mean? And he's gone. He's gone. I wasn't there. We wasn't together. And he's gone. I can't do anything. I mean, when I tell you that sophomore year, I wouldn't want to relive it. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I wish I never lived it. Truly. I mean, when I look back on it, you know, it still affects me, but I'm healed. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. I'm healed. But for so long, I carried so much guilt towards his death because I felt like it was my fault. I felt that, you know, if you love someone, you're supposed to be there with them through the end, through thick and thin, through hurt, through it all. And even though my mental health was doing what it was doing, I should have stuck around. I should have been there. But truth of the matter is, nothing. It was gonna happen. It was gonna happen. He knew it was gonna happen. I knew deep down it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen. And I came out that isolation dorm, and the first day, I packed all my stuff and I came home. Mind you, while I was in the isolation dorm, while I'm dealing with grieving the death of literally the love of my life, it's exams, online exams. I did the best I could do. I passed all my classes. I did the best I could do, but there was one exam, and I just couldn't do it. I mean, I was sobbing. I mean, I couldn't breathe. I was hyperventilating. I emailed the professor. I told him, Dr. Sin, my boyfriend has just died. I mean, I cannot take your exam. He said, you passed. You've passed my class. To this day, Dr. Sin is my favorite professor of all time, because he didn't have to extend that grace to me. He could have said, in the real world, you still have to he met me with compassion and empathy, and that's what I really, really needed at that time. And I will always be appreciative of him of that. I got my stuff, I got it out of there. And it was the most broken, depressed summer ever. The summer between junior year and sophomore year and junior year. I met somebody that I was working, because once again, working has always been consistent with me. One thing I will always do is clock in, clock out, and have a job. I was working at McDonald's at the time. I was making, decent money, good enough money. And I met a man, which, mind you, I'm grieving the death of the love of my life, and I meet a man, which could be described as the devil himself, honestly, who robbed me blind every chance he got. Because, of course, you're broken, you're vulnerable, you're susceptible to anything. You don't care. And I was at a point where I didn't care about my life. I tried to get through the grieving thing the right way, but it was so painful that I didn't want to feel it anymore. Everyone around me, whether they meant to or not, made me feel like, okay, after 2 weeks, it just sort of felt like my capacity to deal with your grief is done. So I'm going to need you to wrap this up. So the best I could do was swallow it down. And that was not healthy. I'm 20 at this point, dealing with grief for the very first time. I went from being 18, 19, in love, experiencing the beautiful joys of love, the HBCU love story I heard so much about, to being 20 years old, about to be a junior in college, grieving the love of my life, trying to stay alive myself. So I went to my junior year. I probably should not have. I went into my junior year. I tried to put on the front of a healed person. But you have to keep in mind that the summers in college are 2.5 months. There's no way the relationship between him and I was 2 years. There's no way I could have truly grieved the love I felt for him in 2.5 months. And I know, because in 2025, I'm just now able to talk about my college experience without sobbing, without feeling aches in my heart. I mean, yes, it's going to always hurt, but I can discuss it without just breaking me and feeling like I'm reliving it all. So that's 3 years and some change later that I can say I'm healed. But 2.5 months was not enough time. It wasn't enough time. And I felt that my friends, my family, no one saw that. And I will always say that in 2023, because we were still in 2022. Junior year, I mean, it was the year I got hot, but it was because it was the year everybody talks about on TikTok, like that one year where you were hot, but your mental health was not. That was the year. I mean, I was just doing anything, to be honest. Like, I was doing whatever I wanted. I was allowing people to do whatever they wanted to me. I was letting these men into my life that had no future, no promise, no prospects in my life, wanted nothing good to do with or for me into my life. I kept getting screwed over and dealing with a whole bunch of mess. And I quite frankly, like, if I can be so transparent with you guys, it was because I didn't care. I mean, the love of my life is that I don't care anymore. I don't have it in me to care. And no one cares. No one sees the brokenness. No one sees how I'm suffering. No one is genuinely being like, she needs help, or everything I did was literally more than a cry. It was a screech, a scream, a begging damn near for help. And I get it. Everyone is wrapped in their own lives. Everyone's wrapped in their own things, you know, and I hold no ill will towards anybody. But this was my college experience. So junior year rolls around. First year, everything is all opened up. And I'm finally going to in-person classes with a few classes online. And the second part of my junior year is when everything was officially 100% open. So I was supposed to experience my first homecoming. Did not really happen because of the hurricane, which was just a bunch of rain, honestly. But we still made the most of what little we had. And it was fun. I was growing closer, you know, in my trio. But I knew that I wasn't well. And again, I don't think I was the greatest person throughout my grief. I think I was grieving and trying so hard to be that it was giving the opposite effect. And, you know, if anybody that was in my life at that time was watching that, I'm sorry for how my brokenness may have affected you. Because yeah, I apologize. But, my junior year, I'm still taking my classes. I'm finally getting into my major courses. And I thought, okay, maybe I want to be a news anchor. I started taking the news classes. A professor quickly showed me that's not what I want to be. That's not who I want to, because it's a lot more than people think. So I said, all right, maybe I want to create content for businesses. So that was my thing. I was like, okay, I want to do content creation for businesses. Like, yeah, I can do that. Like, I can make that work for me. You know, I taught myself content creation, this and that. I started getting into these classes where I'm filming and doing these things. And I don't like making short films. I don't like script writing. I don't like having to come up with stories like that. Mind you, I'm a writer, but I'm not a short film script writer. I'm not a dialogue writer. I'm a free writer. I'm a journaler. I'm that type of writer. So I was just like, oh, but essays and interpersonal communication and speeches and that type of stuff is coming to me like it's no tomorrow. And then somewhere along the lines, like the classes just started to feel like, why am I paying all this money to do something that I already know how to do? Why am I paying all this money to, I'm not getting any closer to my dreams here. Oh my gosh. And that was when I started to, juniors, when I started to feel that little twinge of, I might have made a mistake here. But it's my junior year. Baby, once you hit junior year, if you still want to graduate on time, you need to commit. And I was on FAFSA, student loans, so extending my time, not even an option. So I said, okay, maybe it'll pass. I'll go through junior year. Junior year was filled with so much relationship BS, and we'll get to the relationship story times. Don't you worry. But to just fast forward, relationship BS and all types of stuff I dealt with. But I was hot, though. I was hot. I'll give it to myself. I was hot. And I was just like, wow, I turned 21. I had my first girls trip. And yeah. Seemed like things was turning around. But then I started to realize, well, for a junior, I'm just now experiencing the same things our first incoming freshmen are experiencing. Oh, we're behind. We were so behind as a class of 2024 because of COVID that it was just like, you may as well just shut down. You should have just closed the doors and just let us come in 2023 once things got back to normal, opened back up and stuff, because now you have a whole class that's behind. Certain people within my major have thrived, but more often than not, a lot of us are struggling. A lot of us don't know what to do, don't know how to take what we've learned, because we really haven't learned anything that's within current times to make it work for us. So it's just like, that's a lot. So we enter into my senior year. Oh, what happened? We're gonna skip that summer. That summer was a traumatizing summer. And we'll talk about it, though, in another video. So we go into my senior year. Senior year, I go on my very first cruise with my friends. And it just seems like, okay, like, yes, we're going to make the most out of senior year. This is the first time that's full, total, 100% college experience. Let's go. And it was. I was fully submersed in my major. I was very important in my major. I was so heavily relied on in my major that I got burnt out. Yeah, I got burnt out. And I had done so well, despite everything that I was struggling with. I had done so well in my major that for the next semester for senior year, I only had to take one more course. So there was an option to take like a accelerated course and graduate in December. But I was like, I don't know what job I want to do. So I was like, I feel if I'm going to graduate in December, I should have a career path. So I was like, let me get a couple more months, because now we're at senior year. And this whole time I've been like, I have 3 years, I have 2 years, I have a year. I still don't know what I want to be. And I'm about to have this degree. So I'm just like, so once it was confirmed, yeah, you're about to have this degree. You have one class, pass it, cool. Burnt out, I start to realize I don't like my major. What am I going to do with communications? Nothing. Nothing that I already don't do without it. Yes, I want to be a content creator, but I don't want that to be my career. I was a senior in college once I recognized that. I was 22 years old. It was the second semester of my senior year. I was through 2.5 months away from graduating. Once I realized I do not want to have a job in this major. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know who I want to be. I've made a mistake. And I have to stick it out because this is senior year. Could you imagine? I know I was shook. I know I was shocked. And I think it has a lot to do with that. It was the first time where I could actually sit and think about it. I mean, listen to everything I told you I went through. And, trigger warning. But I was also SA'd twice during my college experience. So add that to the mix. 2.5 months before graduation, I don't want this major. So to say my college experience was a disaster is an understatement. I mean, I just felt that I wasted so much time, energy, trauma for nothing. And I walked across the stage. My graduation day felt bleak, bland, like it wasn't about me. It was horrible. And then my senior year, I get into a situationship that I was forced to view a relationship with a mentally abusive, an emotionally abusive, and a psychologically abusive man who's 15 years older than me. I lose all my friends in the process. So now I'm completely isolated. I'm starving myself because this man's controlling what I'm eating and making me feel guilty when I eat things that he doesn't like. My graduation day was one of the saddest days I can recall. I mean, I was so sad. So I think I deserve a redo. So I've been thinking about it. And now that I'm 23, almost 24, with a prefrontal cortex that has had no choice but to develop after all that shit, I think that I want to go back to school to become a nursing assistant. I want to help people, but I know I don't necessarily want to be an RN. So I just want to work my way from the bottom on up. Right now, I'm working in the hospital cafeteria. Next stop, nursing assistant. Who knows? While doing nursing assisting, maybe I'll find a niche that I want to be in. Maybe I'll discover a love for nursing. But my college experience was a disaster the first time. It can only be great the second time. So I have to go in and visit my mom. But thank y'all so much for listening to my trauma dump. I know this video was long. I'm sorry if it triggered you. But let me tell you something. At the end of the day, I got that degree. My suffering was not in vain. God made sure that everything that I went through was for a purpose and a reason. And it's going to be okay. And guys, I can stand here today, 2025, August 2025, and say that I am all right. I am healed. And even though I went through a whole hell of a lot of shit, I am okay. This smile is real. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for listening to this You Listen, I Yap. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, babes.